What's up, Neil?
Hey, Cal.
Season 3, episode 5 right now.
I thought it was season 3, episode 4, but whatever.
No, wait. There you go.
Yeah. But what a fucking band right here.
Absolutely. So, yes, how are we already in episode 5 of this season? It feels like we just started yesterday.
Yep. I think we did pretty good because we're awesome dudes.
That's right. We are the best ever. But anyway, in episode 5, we got Jenn Vernon with us.
Hi, guys.
So,
What up, Jen?
Jen, we actually just met probably about a year ago,
Yep.
give or take, right?
Over a year, maybe a month.
You've actually been around for a couple of Two Dudes recordings, but this is the first time you're behind the mic.
Yes,
So welcome.
it is.
How do you feel?
I feel great. I'm super excited because, as you said, I got to be a spectator for a couple
Yes,
of
you were actually in the studio for the first one, and then
Yes.
we hit the marina for the second one.
Yep, and then I did get to see one outside of Green Day.
Oh, that's right. I
Pumpkins.
forgot. So, yeah, you've been around for 3 of them.
Yes.
I forgot about the tailgate. What do you
Yeah.
think of the tailgate?
It was fun.
I know,
I thought it was a whole lot of fun.
I love the tailgate episodes.
Yeah, I don't know. I just truly, when the first time since I sat in the studio watching with you guys, like completely just fell in
I could
love.
tell you, like, you wanted to be on the show so bad.
Yeah.
And thank you for Poland's #1 premium beer.
You are
that I'm
very
going to open right
welcome.
now.
Brought a little Juviets
Come on.
to
get in
celebrate,
Get in there.
Day,
Yeah.
Fat Tuesday.
Mhm.
Brought a little Polish heritage with me. Oh,
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's how us Polacks do it.
Yep.
What?
What?
Can't wait to post a picture of my grandparents doing shots now with this episode. So, one, I appreciate your flexibility today because we had you planned for season 3, and then, of course, life gets in the way, people get sick or whatever, and I think I texted you this morning, and you're like, yep, I can do it.
I think
So,
it was a little like 8 a.m.
it was about 8 or 8, between 8 and 9. I'm like, hey, what are you doing today at 1? So here we are about 2, but we just wrapped up with another guest. And, for me, and maybe not anyone else, but the most fun parts is like in between like that first and second episode. We were hanging out in the green room, and you got the first guest, the second guest shows up, and
Yep.
everyone's all kind of jazzed up,
Yeah.
and the second
Yeah.
guest, I think it helps them get a little more relaxed, right? Because there's nerves for sure coming into this,
like
right?
What I was thinking about it, it's funny because I was leaving and my daughter knew I was going to do this, and then she's like, "Mom, don't embarrass yourself." And I'm like, "What do you mean? I go, what am I gonna say? Like, how do I embarrass myself?" She's then all the way here, I'm like, "Oh my god,
Oh my God, what am I going to
what
do to
do?
embarrass
What
myself?
do I do?"
I'm sure thinking the
No,
whole
that was-
drive down. How can I embarrass myself? How can I
I know.
embarrass
I'm just going to sit there and not say anything instead.
What if I do?
Be the worst guest ever. No, but I love that part because you have like the first guest coming out, and like they're all jazzed up. Of course, me and Neil always love whenever we're recording that. Second guest comes up,
Right.
and they feel that kind of that more comfort, and you meet, and
Yeah.
you're like, and I love that part too. Is you're meeting people that you might never have met in your life before, just because
yeah,
you're
like-
showing up second.
I had such a blast in the green room talking with Cedric. He's
Yeah.
the character, and had a lot of fun things, and he was super excited about
Absolutely.
his morning.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. He's been one of our biggest supporters, and us of him as well. So it was fun to finally get him here. So what did a little bit of a drive to get here? So any songs you heard on the way in that you're like get you ready for the show or?
Oh, I had the hip on.
You had the hip on, Tragically
I
Hip?
did have the Tragically Hip on the way in. It did take. It was about hour.
Yeah, it's
to get
about it's a
there.
good hour for sure.
Hour 15.
Now, did you put that on your, like, it was your...
Did you purposely put it on,
Yeah,
or was it more of
purposely,
like
yeah.
a shuffle on like your playlist?
No, I
or something?
purposely put my
Yeah,
Tragically
okay.
Hip playlist on.
Yeah.
Oh, your
Just
playlist,
because
okay.
I was watching the documentary last night, and
Nice.
So I haven't seen the documentary yet, but they
Yeah.
also played the last concert or whatever on CBC
CBC.
last night,
yeah.
which I saw when they first did it, and I watched it a little bit last night, which is it's kind of sad. But then I'm looking at it, I'm like, holy shit, that was 9 years ago.
Yes.
That's amazing that
2017.
Gord's been gone that long
Yes.
or whatever, you know.
It was October 17th. I know the exact
Is
date
that-
and where I was when I heard the news. And
I mean, he's royalty in Canada, and I mean, and should be. That band was amazing. You never did you see him live or no?
oh, I have seen the Hip live. I probably 10 to 15
Oh, good.
times, and
Nice.
was
Nice.
able to see
That's awesome.
2 shows on that last concert.
Oh, really?
Yep,
So
one
you
in
did like when they
London,
did the
one
last.
in London and one in Hamilton.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
That's awesome. Because Deho went to 1 or 2, I think, during that
I think
as
he
well.
said,
I think those shows specifically almost, but that's awesome that you got to experience the
Yeah.
last tour.
yeah, it was an experience. And the funny story about like with me and the Hip, my friend, a good friend of mine, she's actually the one that introduced me to them at the Joe Louis show, which is a live CD that they did from
Okay.
Joe Louis. She's like, I have an extra ticket, you're coming. And I'm like, I don't even know this band. I'm like, I'm not going. She goes, here, take my cassette tape. That's how long ago, like, and listen
Yeah.
to it. So Boots and Hearts was the first one, even though I knew like Courage and Blow and High Dough, like, but at Boots and Hearts was like, okay, they're gonna play this. She goes, they might not. But I'm like, but I know this song. Since that concert,
Did they play it?
no,
Damn it, darn it.
they played it on the last tour, and that was a very.
So you got to see it though.
Oh yeah, it
That's
was
awesome.
a big, Boots and Hearts. That was a very rare one that they would play in concert. It
Right.
wasn't always
On their
one.
set list or whatever.
And since that day, I was like, okay, glad I went with you. And she was probably one I went to every show with most of the time. We've did Toledo, we've been in Windsor, Detroit. Anytime the Hip was around, we would go.
So I saw him twice, and I want to say it was at like the State Theater or Fillmore, which was awesome.
Yes.
And then at
Yes.
Pine Knob.
Yep.
And both of them just, I mean, completely flooded with the Canadian fans, which was actually, to me it was super cool because
loved it.
they followed their band wherever they went, especially if it was, close to a border or whatever. But
Yeah.
to me, I always love that part.
The
You know.
Canadians are very friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the Bare Naked Ladies show we went to,
Yeah.
and then we went camping after, and they were lighting off fireworks at the campground
Right.
and hitting
No,
all the
I
tents. It
very
was still great.
pleased. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good
Because they were just having fun.
Yep.
Yeah, but the documentary, if you do get a chance, the Head by a Century, it really
Yeah, I know. It's on my
dives
list.
in. It dives into why they weren't really so popular in the States and all this stuff. I thought it was very well done.
Why? Can you give a quick insight of why they weren't?
Gord
Popular.
didn't want it.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't want it. Like they explained it because
Typical Canadian.
Yeah, like,
I mean, I wouldn't say.
No,
I
he-
don't,
no,
I don't
I-
even know
I
if
get
he's
it.
Canadian.
And it
He
just-
could be
it's-
fucking
They could have been
Norwegian.
I
I don't
think
know.
Chicago. I bet they did the House of Blues at some point. I know there were some performances in Florida. That SNL
That's weird,
performance.
Right.
But they explained it because I'm like, gosh, I can't believe they didn't. This band
Right.
didn't make it as. big
I've
as
never
they
met
did.
someone who listened to them or saw them live that didn't like them. You know what I mean? Like everyone
Agreed.
that listened or dives into their music usually comes out of it saying, "Wow, these guys are really good,"
It just-
and they could have been absolutely enormous.
But
But they wanted to make sure it was more of.
stayed
They wanted it
authentic.
authentic to the Canadian fans and
Yep.
stuff. Which hey, that's great. And
Yeah.
you know what? They made a great living and career out of it, and I can't fault them for that. But they still did also give a lot of other people in other countries a lot
100%. Yes.
and we were probably some of the lucky ones because they would just come right across the border in Detroit or
Oh,
Yeah.
Detroit.
in Michigan.
Even the 2 shows I saw at Windsor, where that's
Right, it's
like
right
a hop,
there.
skip, and
Yeah.
a
Right,
jump.
right.
And I think there was one show at it was the State Theater. It was the Violet Light, the Violet Light album that was probably one of the ones that I was like, I'm not loving it. But when I listen to it now and the songs from
And you
there,
go back.
and now I'm like, oh, I get it. Like
Right.
I get that. Listen to those lyrics.
So that
now.
could have been the State Theater show I went
It might
to
have been.
where I wasn't
Yeah.
familiar with them at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what like nowadays, like I go to a ton of shows. I usually go by myself, and a lot of them I don't know shit about them. And you know what? I don't even waste my time learning shit about them. I just go to the show, and I'm like,
Yeah.
And a lot of times hearing it for the first time, which I know you there's some of those songs where you have to listen to them like multiple times before you like them, but I think that you throw that out the window when it's live. When you hear a song for the first time live, like it's not like hearing it on the radio for the first time. Like, I don't know if I like it, but when you hear it live, it's just totally different.
Oh, agreed.
And you still may not like it, but there's a lot better chance that it hits you differently than just hearing it on the radio.
A live show is
it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
What keeps you going back to those live shows? Just
the music. Like, it's just the music, the entertainment. It's just like...
I mean, you saw Tragically Hip like 10, 15 times.
Oh, yeah.
And after one, what gets you going back? 6, 7, 8, 9? What was it about them specifically that gets you?
I mean, they were fantastic shows. They were entertainers. They were up there, you know... Gord probably gave 110% every performance. And you can tell, like, I think with a good show and a good band, and if you follow them enough, like, they love what they do.
Yeah.
They love what they do. And with the Hip, that was one. They loved what they did. And it's funny watching that documentary because that album that I was kind of like, the Violet Light, there was stuff going on in the band and why maybe that show wasn't 100%.
Right.
But I don't think I could say I've ever not seen 110% with it.
Right.
Ever. And
one thing I noticed about Gord, it seemed like between obviously the recordings versus live, and he was never the same.
Nope.
Like, which I don't mind. But some people that drives them nuts. But like you watched that last concert, and I know he was struggling with his health and stuff, but still, I'm like, I remember seeing him those couple times before, and it wasn't much different than that.
No.
Like the songs he sing, it was almost like Lou Reed.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a little different to it, but it's still, you know what I mean?
No,
and I always took it like he was one of those performers that it's not going to be like the album, but be thankful for it. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like
no, 100%. He would always throw some twist, always throw something, the mumbling under the lyrics, you know, that are going on. It always, and you never knew what you were going to get, and I think that was another one. But
you know what always blew my mind about that band is that there was 2 people named Gord in it.
Yes, there was.
It's not a very common name.
No. It's not.
2 Gords.
In Canada, it might be.
It might be. Apparently, it's super popular in Canada. Every band has 2 Gords, or they aren't allowed to perform.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we got to know you over the last year or so. We went to the Pumpkins show. What did you think about that with Green Day?
I've never been a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan. Like, I enjoyed Pumpkins. There was a couple
and it's
songs.
not their show, so
right, it was
it's
a couple
like,
songs, but I had seen them in the summer before.
Oh, when at Pine Knob, the shortened show.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, you know, and so I was excited to see Pumpkins. Green Day again, another one. I'm like, yeah, I've got, you know, maybe 5, 6 songs.
Have you ever seen Green Day before? No, I hadn't either.
No, I have not. And then, though, the whole show stopped with the drone.
During Longview.
What is going on?
That was a little crazy, and I was with Kennedy and Avery in our seats because, you know, we all kind of separated after the tailgate.
You
were with them.
Yes.
That was awesome. No,
again,
that was...
But I'm like, I can't see what's going
on. I will
on.
say that was my favorite tailgate, and then we did the Billy Strings one after that. And then that was like that. They're just all the tailgates are just so much fun because everyone's just hanging out. You're all there for the same reason.
Like that was, I think, probably one of my favorite parts about that day is like we found you guys, and then I was like, oh yeah,
at the church parking lot.
And I know that parking lot from like opening days.
Oh yeah, well, I tried getting into that parking lot right across from the Fillmore. But I got there so goddamn early, like they were somehow like still, I don't know, it was like a mess. Right. So then I'm like, all right, I go across the street. I'm like, what do I got to do to park here? Like $60. I'm like, all right, card? No, got to be cash. So I'm like running around trying to get fucking money. And the thing is, mind you, it's like 3:00.
Yes.
So I have no reason to be running anywhere because by the time I got all set up, I'm situated. It was at least 2 hours before anyone showed up. I'm figuring, oh my God, 2 dudes, Green Day, Pumpkins, everyone's going to be here. And I'm like,
And
crickets.
that parking lot, I know, because that's where I would always park for Polish American nights. Like
Okay.
when the dancers were dancing.
Yeah.
But when we were trying to find you guys, I'm like, he's not in the main one. I'm like, so we were over hopping, trying to figure out where you're going. I'm like,
We couldn't have been any closer to Comerica.
We probably walked right around you, like, I don't know how many times, and I'm like, he's right there.
At one point, I gave a homeless guy a 2 Dudes t-shirt.
Oh my gosh.
And then he had a red Solo cup that I put a sticker on it. So he's walking around in a 2 Dudes t-shirt with a 2 Dudes cup.
I liked the cooler of beer.
Yeah, well, you know what?
And water. You had
Every
water.
time we go forward, I will always provide beer and water, compliments of 2 Dudes. But it was funny because we go to the Billy Strings one, right in the tailgate, and that one was so much fun. I mean, that was like such a eclectic group of people between like your Grateful Dead Fish type crowd versus like your hillbilly type, you know, like
it looked like a great time.
Yeah.
What you guys were posting.
and so we're sitting there, and I have the cooler, and I started that a couple tailgates before or whatever, and it clearly says on the cover like compliments of 2 Dudes, water and beer, and then you know, but I noticed no one was going after it, so I'm like, hey everyone, there's stuff here, and like everyone's coming over and grabbing, like, wait, what do we owe you? Like, you don't owe me shit, it's free. I'm like, oh no shit, really? Well, what I found out was that the Billy String stuff, like literally vendors were setting up, like people that would show up that follow them, like they're setting up selling water and like grilled cheese, and I'm like, grab a beer and a water. I don't give a shit. What they didn't know was it was from Avery's graduation party. It was been like warm, cold, like 6 different times in their garage, but no one fucking cares at that point.
No, right.
Hey, they're getting a free beer. They didn't have to
Right.
pay for it.
If you don't want it, don't take it. I don't give a shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, yeah, those things are a ton of fun. I do remember that because I forget who you were with.
For
The other chick you were with that day, and you guys were just like taking pictures while we were talking.
That was Neil McGill's wife.
Oh, was it
Yeah,
Neil's wife?
Neil
Okay,
McGill. Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
That's I never actually found out what the
We
connection
were
was
trying
there.
to meet up with them, and
Right.
like they took one of those little cars, like those things to find us, and we're like, we're right here. Yeah, Nicole, yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun day for sure. And the Pumpkins were great.
Yes.
Obviously, Comerica's a tough spot, depending on where you're at, but to me, they sounded great. It wasn't their show, and then Green Day came in. I thought they sounded fucking awesome.
I thought Green Day sounded really good.
And I'd never seen them
Green
before.
Day and not being like a huge like.
No, I'm not
I
a huge
love you.
fan.
But I
The beauty of it is I was a freshman in college when TDaKT came out, so I'm like, oh my god, this is
Same.
amazing. And then it was
I
like 10 years later,
that show was
American
good.
Idiot came out, and then they're playing both albums. I'm
They
like,
played.
well, I never cared anything after this anyway, so this is like the perfect time to see Green Day.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. That album.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, like in my age, because like all these people are coming out with the 20, 25, 30th anniversary of like albums and stuff. But it's also kind of fucking cool.
Yes.
'Cause,
I
like-
mean, it just puts. I just feel like this is what I.
This is when you
listened
loved
to.
them,
This is
right?
What I loved. This is what.
And they're
you know,
still gonna play those other songs after that you still loved by them, but you're like maybe you weren't the hugest fan of them. Like, I'm going to Helmet on March
saw
6th.
that.
It's a Sunday show. You can't beat it. But Helmet at the Magic Bag. It's like 500 fucking people. It's gonna be loud as hell. It's gonna be awesome, and they're playing Betty. It's the 30th anniversary of Betty, so they play that whole thing.
Oh, baby, bam, is that the song?
And then,
I don't think that's the right.
but I did
No.
see
Betty.
Yeah.
like Betty.
Oh, bam.
Actually, DMC did a version of Black
They
Betty.
did.
Oh, black.
Well, just
Black-
DMC, Daryl McDaniels with Sebastian Bach.
Oh my gosh.
And there was like 2 or 3 others, and they redid Black Betty. And
Interesting.
he was telling me about that when I was actually walking with him and Novi through the Comic-Con.
Nice.
Because I grabbed him like right when he was taking pictures at the one area, and then he was walking all the way to the comic book area, which was like from one end to the other, and that whole time. just talking to him, grilling with questions.
Right, sure.
And that's where I finally got him to sign that when we got back to his place. It was a table smaller than this because he was a comic book guy. He wasn't like a
I
super
wasn't there
famous
for
guy.
that, yeah.
Right. And so I'm just bullshitting with them, and Avery was there, so we got really cool pictures. And
He
such a
still
cool.
needs to be on the pod.
I know, we're still working on him. We're still working on him.
Get him on.
But nicest guy in the world, and he's like, yeah, we got this going on. He's like, I got Sebastian Bach, and we're doing this, and we're doing Black Betty, and I'm like, holy, what the fuck's going on here? But he's like the busiest guy, dude. Now he's got like cookies and shit that he's promoting, like DMC
the
cookies
original of that
and stuff.
song is a little much. And
Right, I know.
It stays with you, and you hear it, so I can't even
Right.
imagine when you add Sebastian Bach and
Yeah, right, exactly.
that going on.
I know.
That's crazy.
But no, we've been. I'm like, hey, yeah, I got a podcast. It was like when we were first starting. He's like,
Sure.
oh, I'll be on it. And then you send him emails and nothing. But that's how it works.
No.
He'll get
Don't
back.
give up.
So,
Don't
no,
give
fuck
up.
no.
Don't
That's
give
what
up.
that is what
Jen-
I've learned.
Exactly.
Is
Don't
when
give
you
up.
don't give up, you keep grinding
Keep going.
with like shit like that. And you know what? Just fucking have fun and let it happen. And if it happens,
bet
it'll
you if
happen.
you-
If it don't, it don't.
I bet you if you email.
I do have
10 or
Daryl
20.
McDaniel's personal email. I will say that.
For the rest of your life, and then one of them will eventually email
No,
you.
shit.
Say-
Shit'll
I say
happen.
so.
And if it doesn't,
There's
who
gotta be
gives a
PR
shit?
guy.
Yeah.
Isn't there a PR guy?
Right.
Yeah, come on, PR guy. What
Yeah,
the
we're not
fuck, bro?
Right? Exactly.
That's what you're for.
We love you, PR guy.
We got at least 10 or 20 people that'll listen to DMC after this.
I promise.
Guaranteed.
I promise. It'll be all over.
You know what the sad thing is? So season 2, right? We go through it all, and then I get my Spotify like stats or whatever, and the season 2 episode with Kevin Brace, where I was fucking trashed. I don't even remember recording it. I refuse to listen to it even after I edit it because I'm like, I don't even want to.
Don't want to know.
I don't even want
Don't want
to
to
know.
know. Don't want to even.
So then I get at the year end these Spotify stats. I'm like, so the number 1 episode to watch was the Kevin Brace episode. Not only that, it was 218% more viewed than anything else this last year. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the hell did I say? And I still haven't watched
You
it.
better watch it now.
I still haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it either.
All I know is I've seen Kevin since then. Everything's cool, so I didn't do anything really fucking stupid. But I'm like, holy shit, what the hell happened during that?
You know what I think it is? Because of Kevin.
Oh, yeah, probably. Absolutely. Well, it totally was because of
And
Kevin.
not because of
You know,
what he
so
does,
many people
but
like
because
in
he's
and
a
out,
fucking
like
cool
all
guy.
concerts and shit. And,
It's because he's a cool fucking
yeah.
guy.
No, he was
That
awesome.
guy's one of the braddest dudes ever.
Well, I'm sure you didn't embarrass yourself. Like you didn't have the.
Well, it's not too bad.
Obviously not.
I'm still around. I haven't been canceled yet.
So,
218% though. I'm like, holy shit. So what does that mean? Like we went from like 2 to like 10 people that downloaded it.
yeah, you don't want me doing any math.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, I know.
if that
You know what
was
I've
math-
learned? I don't want to do any fucking math anymore either.
It's
And I'm a fucking engineer.
worse.
Yeah, don't do math.
Fuck that shit, dude.
I've never done math in my
is
life.
Not my forte.
So, what, thinking back of all the concerts you've been to, shit like that, do you have one that was like, oh my god, that was by far, like, my top, or there's, maybe not, like, even overall top, but there was something about a concert where you're like, oh my god, that was, like, I'll never forget that, and it's gonna be in my top 5 because of it.
I got like so many, like, because I just like shows and I like concerts and you know I'm a big fan of music, but of course it's gonna be any hip. I gotta say the hip shows have always
Yeah, they're kind of like a
Yeah,
whole
there's
different
just-
thing altogether for you.
yeah. I go back. Gosh, I mean, I've seen like Alanis Morissette. She was really good when she came like at that era and.
So did you see her way back when, or
Yes,
just?
at
Oh
the-
yeah, you
at,
did. Okay.
The state theater.
Oh,
like when
shit.
she had, I think Jagged Little Pill was still. I think I was in college.
It was probably like in between Jagged Little Pill and
Mhm.
whatever's just coming out
Yep,
next.
I went with
But
my.
you know what's amazing is like those people at that time even though they were huge, they were still playing the State Theater,
Yeah.
which is
That's
the Fillmore,
like a
Detroit
small-
now, which
yeah.
is like 2,500 people.
Yeah, it seems like a small venue.
It is
Like,
a small venue.
it's
but
crazy.
That's where she was.
No, that's where
and
everyone
I
did.
know, everybody
Because
went there.
in I mention this one all the time, in 96 for the Pumpkins. So this was on the release of Melancholy. So the Gish, Siamese Dream, which blew them up, and then
Yes.
Melancholy, the double, they still played the State Theater that time. It wasn't like they were
Yeah.
playing a huge venue. It was like, holy shit, like this was like their hugest tour, really. At least for them at
State
that
Theater.
time. And they're still playing the State Theater. And that was the time when the keyboardist died. Like, it was like 6 shows later. So I saw them literally like one of the last times when it was the original 4.
Original ones.
And then once he died, that was it. They kicked Chamberlain out, and then the lineup was never the same from that point forward.
I mean,
But
at the State Theater, they do a good job.
Yeah, it's a fucking great venue.
It's a great venue.
it's I would say it's probably my favorite venue. I mean, hands
And even
down.
up in,
Fillmore.
balcony, because I've been on the balcony. I've been
Yeah.
low. Like, it doesn't.
If you're up in the seats, you're in
Yeah.
down low. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, that's where 7 years ago, 9 Inch Nails with Jesus and Mary Chain. That was.
Wait, Jesus, Mary and Chain opened up for that show?
Yes.
Oh my God, they
Yes.
were so fucking good
Wow.
when they opened up for Psychedelic Furs. I saw them in October
yeah.
last year.
I did see that when I looked at
And
that concert.
I hadn't seen them since Lollapalooza '92, and actually they were the third band, so I was kind of in and out still because I was drunk as fuck. But
Yeah.
I saw them in October last year, and I'm like, this is probably one of the most underrated
Yes.
bands from the '90s. And when I watched them singing those songs, it was like you
They
were
were great.
literally you were back in the '90s. And what I loved about it was the way they did the lights. I never saw them like their faces or anything. They did the lights, so it was almost like
Yes, you couldn't see them.
no, it was just almost like their silhouettes and different colors, which to me was like
7 years
super
ago, it was
cool.
the same way.
And they did it as an opening act because Psychedelic Furs was the headliner, and I'm like, they did this whole thing and blew everything away, and I was like, I barely even watched the Psychedelic Furs because I was talking to everyone else about
Jesus and Mary Chain.
how good they were.
That I just
And it's the lead singer and the guitarist are brothers.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that.
And yes, and then the guitarist has the crazy hair, kind of looks like the Melvins guy a little bit. But yes, they are brothers, and I have no idea who's in the band now.
No,
compared to
I mean,
30 years
one
ago.
of my
but
favorite Jesus.
it was
and
so good.
favorite Jesus and Mary Chain song is Sometimes Always,
Mm-hmm.
Always, and that's what the one I wanted to hear.
And they played it.
They did it.
There's
so-
nothing better when you hear that.
No, I'm like that's.
That's your
when
killer
I don't
tune of the
like-
night.
Yeah, when I'm like.
When you want to hear the one, you finally get it, or when you want to hear that one, it just hits a little different.
Yeah.
But when you hear that one that you're never expecting, I'll never forget Paul when we saw Guns N' Roses. He's like, man, I really hope they fucking play Coma. And it was like literally like 10 minutes later, all of a sudden they started playing it. And he was so pumped,
Yeah,
and it's
it
like
is.
that. There's nothing better than when it's more of an obscure hit that you just want to hear. So
Yeah, it's
And then
something.
it's like, then you're like, when they don't play it, it's kind of like, oh, like it's like, okay, but the rest
Maybe
of the
next
show was still, yeah. So I mean, Alanis was great. She was 9 Inch Nails. I've seen them every time they've been here, and thoroughly, like top 10. You guys know my obsession and love for Bret Michaels. You guys know that.
So you've seen Bret Michaels like twice in less than a year now at this point,
I
right?
did. I did.
Don't worry about it. He's an alright guy.
The thing is, I was always a Poison fan. My brother, like the 80s, like I think of the 80s and I think of 80s rock.
Right.
Because my brother got me into that. Like it was Guns N' Roses, Poison. So that always stuck with me. And I still love the 80s jam. And then I kind of fell off with Poison a little bit. And then when Bret came out with the Rock of Love, my daughter Natalie, she was still a baby. So there's 7 o'clock at night when I'm trying to get her to sleep. Here's Bret on the TV and fell completely back in love with like.
Well, and plus he did like reality TV and stuff, so it's like you almost got to see him a little bit like
Yeah.
behind the scenes, which probably helped even more, right?
And
Because he seemed like a pretty cool, normal dude, like just down to earth
He is, and
or
I
whatever.
got a funny
Yeah.
story about when I met him. Like I'll have
Oh, you
to
actually
tell you-
met Bret Michaels?
I did, and you guys, it's a really funny story. But he is an entertainer. He puts on a great show. He just entertains. That's what he's one that
He's there for the people, is what it seems
and
like.
you know he's up there.
He feeds
like,
off of that
loves
and
it.
gives them what they want.
Yes. I did have the opportunity to meet him, and so the whole.
Where at?
It was at the Emerald Theater in Mount Clemens.
Oh, okay.
He did a show with the Bret Michaels Band. It was there with girlfriends, and every time we said it. So the whole joke, because of the Rock of Love, and then the Rock of Love bus, was, Jen, you're going to a concert, stay off the bus. Stay off the bus. And like one time we found them, we're there. So they were announcing at the show that you can pay this to go meet Bret, go meet Bret. So a friend of mine actually bought me an early birthday ticket to go meet Bret. So I find out that I had to wait in this line though. And all my friends were like, you're waiting here, you're staying here. I'm like, I'm not. They're like, we're going to eat. I'm like, I want to go to Taco Bell. Like, so I'm waiting in this line. Somebody's like, can I cut? And I'm like, sure. You don't have a wristband, but go ahead. Get on the bus. And I did a true, like, starstruck moment. So,
Come with it.
oh yeah. I'm standing there. I'm the next one in line. Here's Bret. Here's, like, the PR guy. And he looks at me and he's like, oh, come here, cutie. And I'm like, okay. Like, ran over. But then I, took a cute picture, this and that. And I look at him and I'm like, my softball team dressed up like you. That's what I say to him. I mean, Bret Michaels.
Okay.
And he's like, oh,
At least you didn't tell me like turtles.
Bret.
Black turtles.
So I was like, everyone's like, that's what you said? And I'm like, yeah, then I tried to like cover it because we had done a softball tournament that October and we did all dress up like Bret Michaels for a costume contest for Halloween. He took second. We took second, which I was not happy with. The Care Bears beat us, but
I thought it was the guy. I thought it was the people dressed up as Motley Crue and Vince Neil. Beater.
I tell that story that here I am, like I get to meet him and I literally choked. I felt like baby in Dirty Dancing. Like
Right.
I carried a watermelon.
Right.
Like but he was super sweet, super
That's
nice,
hilarious.
signed a bunch of stuff. I'm like, I thought you were great, so that's my
hilarious.
celebrity meeting
Hey,
that
listen. Bret Michaels is... I don't know him. You obviously know him personally.
You obviously know him personally.
Yes.
But he seems like a good guy.
He is.
Of all those shows you see him on, he does. He seems like a great fucking guy. He's had like some serious health issues and shit.
he's
He's
got,
like
like,
an aneurysm or some
9
shit
lives.
or
I don't
something
know.
that's going on. And
But the latest and greatest announcement is Poison 2026. Look what the
so
cat
they're
dragged
actually
in.
doing with all 4
That's-
originals.
Yep.
That would be cool, though.
He's been announced. He announced it at this last one.
Oh,
It was
really?
just there at Soaring Eagle.
That would be awesome
And he
because
announced it in Detroit.
that's the shit I grew up with.
Me too.
Like early high school
Soaring
it was
Eagle?
hair metal,
Yep.
and then once towards the end of the high school you were into grunge, and then that kind of carried you through, and then you either had to
You
deal
found
with
that.
fucking Linkin Park and shit like that, or you found other good music to listen to.
I mean, I was a big Def Leppard. Loved Def
fuck
I
yeah,
saw
Def
that.
Leppard.
Def Leppard's amazing.
Dude,
That was
Def Leppard, Rat,
saw
White
that.
Line, Great
Def
White.
Leppard,
I mean, take your
I was
fucking
born in
pick.
'77, and Def Leppard had their first album, 82 or
But
whatever.
talk about,
I'm like,
they're amazing. in
and I,
Pyromania
Yeah.
and then Hysteria.
I'm like,
fuck, come on,
fuck,
bro.
man, I only heard about 10 years later, and
And you know what?
87.
Don't
I'm like,
matter if the
dude,
drummers
they're
got
so
an arm
good.
or not, they still kick ass.
Dude, they
and
fucking
they are
rock.
amazing in concert. I've seen them twice. Once, like at
Because they were with Poison, aren't
They
they?
were. But Def Leppard. Yes, they
And
were.
that's not either one.
Well, they
Def
were just
Leppard
here
is
last year. It was Def Leppard,
Yeah, but I saw them.
Steve Miller, and then someone else.
I don't know. I saw them with the stadium tour.
Yes,
I
but no,
held on.
it was Comerica again.
They
I
did
think they
another
did them like 2 years apart or something.
Yeah, but if you ever get a chance to see Def Leppard,
I would love to.
if
but
they are.
You know what I
they're
watched
another
is actually Def Leppard. They have a live video from like Kobo, I believe, that is on the Access channel.
Okay.
the
I like
AXS or
that
whatever.
show. They do a lot of
They
those
did
fun
do a lot of
things,
live
yes.
stuff, and I remember it was Def Leppard one time, but it was out of Detroit, and it was like 2016 or some shit. And I'm like, but you're watching them, like, damn, they sound good.
Yeah.
and they sound just like they did 40 years ago, and you guarantee they still
really
do
do.
nowadays. And that one dude that plays the guitar, the blonde guy, is like fucking ripped. He looks like he's like 25 fucking years old.
They were like, they by far, besides
The drummer only has one hand.
Yeah, he's only got one arm, but tell you what, before and after, that
I don't
dude
know if you
fucking
guys
miss
knew
a-
that.
That dude don't miss a beat.
He doesn't. To come back after that accident. And
Rick
get back
Allen,
on those
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew that.
Which I remember because that was like still in like the 80s, and the fact
was,
that
like,
they could
tragic.
figure out how that he could figure out to use his feet to play the drums way back then, like before like
Now
all
the
the
technology,
advances and all that
everything.
shit, you know.
No, that was pretty good.
And I tell you what, paved the way for probably a shit ton of people after him. They could actually
Agreed.
do it
Yeah,
versus,
agreed.
you know,
Yeah.
and actually a really cool moment in music when you think about it, and that he's still out there
And that
fucking
they're still
doing it.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's still doing it.
Still doing it.
That's crazy.
Let's see what other ones. Kings of Leon. I
Yeah.
saw Kings of Leon when they came to Pine Knob, and they were ones I was like, I have a few on my bucket list, and they're starting to check some of them off. But I saw them at Pine Knob and always liked Kings of Leon. But when I saw them in concert, and then had the opportunity to see them in Cincinnati this year, they're a band that you listen to the song on the radio or you play it on something that when you see them live, you're like, it's like, wow.
Right.
Wow. Again, another great entertainers. Like, again, you can
There's
tell
just
they
some
wanna be-
bands that are amazing live.
Yeah.
And for me, it's Big Head Todd and the Monsters.
Okay.
And me and Emily went and saw them this past January, and she actually looked at me and said, "This guy might be the best live singer I've ever seen in my life." And I'm like, yeah, that's why they're on their 40th anniversary tour, and they've been killing it for 40 years. Because this guy can
Right.
play guitar, he
Okay.
sings, and it's just a whole. But if you listen to the album, it doesn't necessarily translate like when you actually
No.
see them.
Yeah. Another one that's good like that is Lord Huron. And I know
Yeah,
you're
we're going to see him
it.
in
You're-
August. I can't wait. I'm so excited
saw
about that.
them a couple years back at,
I never knew they were a Michigan band.
I think, Oxford.
They are.
Oxford. Yep.
Yeah,
From
and
Oxford.
the whole thing
Yeah,
with
they're
Lord
pretty
Huron is because of Lake Huron.
Oh. Okay.
We learned that from Jason
Yep.
Wagner.
Well, and I saw them at Aretha Franklin.
Oh,
theater that's
the
very
Urethra.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I
Urethra.
I thought of that.
It's a great
driving in.
venue.
Thought of that driving in, and I was like, gosh, do I say it like this? Or because I'm like, I talk about Lord Huron, I'm like, I don't know if I was saying that word.
You can say it however you want to.
But
Urethra.
it's really funny because I went up for a drink.
Oh, it's the worst.
Oh, yeah, it was really bad.
It took me
Forever.
at least 30 minutes to get a single beer
Yeah.
at there.
And I'm waiting, and I'm hearing him. But in the meantime, I'm sitting there, and I got to meet his uncle.
Oh, no
So
shit.
he's in and goes, look at the picture we took before the show. And I'm like, oh, wow. And he was like just chatting, and he's like, oh, we had this big party. And I'm like, thanks. You guys are doing anything after? Like,
Right.
like you're meeting us. But that was one I walked
I know. I
into.
can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I walked in
August.
with a couple songs I knew, and then ended up like, wow, like huge.
That's
fan.
what I love is like you go in, you know a song or two or whatever, but then because for me, I never do the research. Like, if I know a song or two, I'll go see them, but I'm not going to learn their whole catalog.
No.
But then you go there and it's like you're blown away. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
I may
You
listen
know, there's
to
so much more than the two songs I
Yeah,
know.
if they have a new album out, I may listen to like the one song that I'm like, I better know
Sure.
the new song if I'm going.
Right.
But I won't spend too much time.
Mm.
But sometimes I want to go and just hear the old stuff, and then they're playing all their new stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
you bring that up, Lumineers right now, right? Because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just came out with
Saw
a new
that
album, and
Have you heard any of their new album?
I haven't listened to it
Yeah.
yet, but they're playing Comerica. But you know what else they are doing is during the same tour they're playing Van Andel. I'm like, fuck, drive the extra
Right,
extra
it's
hour.
smaller,
Oh, really?
but
Go to
yeah.
Van Andel. It's only 12,000
When is that?
people. It's
Mhm.
indoors, even if it's the summer. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a
I-
lot better show than that fucking Comerica.
Agreed. I'm surprised they're going to
Guaranteed.
America. Like I mean,
I
they're
didn't know that
big,
they
but
right. I saw them go, and yes, they're at the Pine Knob level, but like
Right.
they're ready to go to like 2 times more capacity versus that, and maybe they are, and it's one of those ones where maybe you hit them so early that you don't realize how big they are now.
Have I not heard, like, at Comerica that we saw Green Day. I was with you and Alan. On the floor was great, but if you're back in the stands, it's terrible.
So where we were at, which was like right along the third base line, so not far, the sound was still great, but you also get to that point between like the main floor versus starting to get up in the seats where they actually have speakers set up there.
Oh.
So it's like, depending where you're at, you could hear almost 2 different things going on.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of baseball stadiums. I'm not a big fan of football stadiums for concerts, obviously.
Like I hear Ford Field's the same way.
Right.
People have gone.
I'll say when I saw Guns N' Roses, so we were like right on the side, stage is right here. We're literally like right at that front corner of the stage, but the third level up. So actually that was kind of good because you could still kind of see the music was still good, but I could also see if you're way back over there and up there, it can suck, So it depends how they have it set up. Depends on when the stadium was actually built.
True.
Like Ford Field, I think they actually took into account that they might have
Concerts
some
there.
of that going on. But I was pretty impressed with Guns N' Roses. Like I wasn't disappointed here with the sound.
No, not at all.
Comerica, I hated Dave Matthews, but I was like way up in the top.
When I saw Dave
But-
Matthews at Pine Knob and the Palace. Pine Knob and I think the Palace. Palace I think. But
how was the Palace?
it was good. But the weird thing when I saw Dave, like he had 2 shows at the Palace. And so he did the first night and then they had to take down the whole set or whatever because there was a game and then they put up
So it was
again.
like
So I
2 shows over 3 days. So it was like they had.
And so
like
I saw him the
something in
second
between.
time, and I like Dave Matthews. I really do like Dave, but I wasn't like at that show like, eh.
See, I loved Dave Matthews when they first came out.
Yes.
And I saw him at the State Theater. I was front row center.
They were too bad.
And I've mentioned this before, where they were the opener for Big Head Todd the Monsters, but like that night they switched. So like Dave Matthews is the headliner. So I'm like front row center. I've really loved them because I had a mixtape, and this is awesome. And then I saw them a few times, like in those smaller venues. And then all of a sudden they're playing Comerica, and I would literally went from $20 for front row center at State Theater to $40 in the third level at Comerica. I'm like, this shit sucks.
Yeah, I was.
And it was awful. I mean, granted, that was also 25 years ago, so I guarantee Comerica's probably done better with the music, I hope.
I don't know.
But the last time I saw Dave Matthews was 2017, and it was with Tim Reynolds. It was just those 2 doing, so that was super cool, and I won tickets on the radio.
Yeah,
But I haven't paid to see Dave Matthews in like 20
Yeah,
fucking
I
years.
was not super impressed
No.
like with them, and I don't know if it's because they had the break instead of the back to back or whatever. But I know I was.
Well, and they have, you know what,
I
their
was like,
lineup's
eh.
different, and
Yeah.
they
But I like
might
them.
want. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm actually a big fan of Dave Matthews, and I know they get dogged a lot of the time, and some of the newer stuff I'm probably not a fan of. But to be honest, not that I'm a gatekeeper, but like for like Dave Matthews, I'm a fan from like call it 92 to 97.
Yes.
And anything
for me,
after
it's
that, I
college.
haven't really listened to.
I remember
So,
college,
and if
really.
what I know
Yeah,
is they're
it's
not
total
playing all that in concert anymore.
No.
So like for me to go see them, I've better be ready for a whole different experience.
Right.
And it doesn't mean it's going to be a bad thing. I might like the songs. I've just never been exposed to them before. But like for me, that band was like, 93 to 96.
Yeah. That
You know, and that's if
That's
there's
my-
anything out of that, I don't know shit about. Even almost like Wilco, right? I knew everything from AM like to kind of Ghost is Born and everything after that. I'm like, I don't know anything they made.
Yeah. But,
Even Ghost is Born, I didn't really know shit much about it until I got the live album.
right.
Because a lot of it had Ghost is Born, but it's like you almost have these pockets in time where you're like, oh, I love this band, but really you love this band for like 5 years,
Right.
and which is fine.
Yeah.
And then you
I'm
sometimes
not
no, like with Wilco though, like for me, like I stopped listening to him after Yankee. I never listened to Ghost is Born or whatever, just because that was, at that point in time, I moved on. And then I got the live album. I heard all these other songs that were from Ghost is Born. I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. You know?
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those weird things, like, or, you know, we talk about these 20, 25, 30-year anniversaries. Like, no, I haven't listened to fucking Helmet in 30 years. So when I go to this show, that's going to take me back to the 90s. And I'm going to hear every song off of that album. I'm going to hear a bunch of other songs. Because they play, I looked at it, they play like 27 effing songs right now.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, 12 of them are from that album, but they're still playing all their other shit. So it's like a great...
No, those are fun. Like,
right.
I mean, I saw that the Verve pipe.
Yeah, they're coming.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, the Freshman, like, same thing like you say. It puts me right... Dave Matthews, Bare Naked Ladies...
Bare Naked Ladies, no, that's Neil's Dogs.
Put me right back into, like, I think Michigan State, because that's what...
So is that where you went, Michigan State?
I did, yeah, my undergrads at Michigan State, and it, like, Dave was huge, Bare Naked Ladies was huge there.
Well, so we're the exact same age, we just realized. So it was...
Yeah, I think...
Right, so it's the same thing, yeah. They were... When you look at all those bands, that's what was... Oh my God, have you heard this? So then you get a tape or something.
And people were playing
and what people don't realize is that first Dave Matthews album... Where it's like you got to look at it real close to see what's actually in there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But that is just nothing but live songs.
Yeah.
You know, that's like all their very early stuff just live. And then Under the Table and Dreaming took a lot of those songs and like produced them or whatever, plus new ones.
Talented.
But absolutely. No matter if he shits on Chicago or not.
I didn't know.
Do you remember that?
No. Oh, yes.
And he dumped their tour bus's toilet in the Chicago River.
Oh, yeah. I totally remember that.
Is that bad that he doesn't like Chicago?
No, I just think that you're probably not supposed to dump your shit in an open river unless you're in India.
I totally remember
but guess what? Sometimes people don't like cities.
No, I get it. No, it's funny because that was like 20 years ago. Like they brought the whole story up after 20 years this year. It's like, oh my God, I remember that.
Now that you said, I'm like, what? Then I'm like, no, I totally remember hearing it. It was like, why would they? I don't know.
Well, then they've had so many changes, right? The saxophone guy passed, I believe, and then the violin guy got into some other issues. And you know, so the band's totally different. You know, it's Dave Matthews, Buford on drums, and Stefan on bass, and then all the other stuff is kind of fillers, and they've grown musically. You got to think about it, like they were in their 20s doing that shit when we first loved them, and now they're in their 50s. I mean, shit evolves and changes, and if you don't agree with it, that's great, but if you don't evolve and change, you just become like a nostalgia act. You know, and like a lot of them, that's the last thing they want to be in their life, right?
Right. No, and that's hard because then it's like we want to hear.
Right, you want to hear the same, right?
Moment. And the thing that makes me mad about Comerica, we'll go back just for a second, like the floor. So the stadium, what made me mad about Smashing Pumpkins and Green Day, when we did the stadium tour, you could walk around. Like, you could, like, because we were, like, all over the place. Like, I made sure I had seats on the end, and I was able to sit that. Like, I felt like at Green Day and Pumpkins, I, like, wanted to stand behind my chair, and they're like, no, you got to go in there. You weren't allowed to, like, walk around. Yeah. And so those are two I did on the floor. I remember sitting in the seats up there, and I'm thinking exactly what you're saying. I saw Eminem and Jay-Z.
Oh, that was where they just did, like, two shows in Detroit, New York, and that was it.
And great show, by the way.
And actually, Elena, our oldest daughter, went to that with my brother-in-law and his wife at the time.
Great
and I'm like, mother effer?
Yeah.
That is like, you know, that's something like people will be talking about 50 years from now.
And like everyone's putting their little hearts out.
Right.
And, but we were in seats for that. I think on the third base. I think we were up front. I don't remember. I don't know. Might have had some cocktails, but again,
they usually play a role.
I was like, wow, you know, like it's still those seats set up like that are hard to see.
Because we were like in the seats on the third baseline, but we were like 2 or 3 right from the wall.
Okay.
And then when we watched the Pumpkins, and then they get off the stage and the golf carts took them, like they literally went right in front of me. Like, we were the front row of where we were sitting on the third base.
So you got to see them.
So, like, they came in and drove right past us.
And that's where we maneuvered to go stand at the stadium tour. because Brett walked right by me and was like, "Hey," so I'm like,
I'm good. Brett called me out
I'm good.
personally.
I'm like, "Okay."
What
So
up,
Jimmy
Brett?
Buffett at Comerica. Jimmy Buffett did the whole like beach
Oh yeah.
theme there
Right,
too.
right.
That one, but lower. But yeah, I don't know if I think I prefer the smaller venue still.
100%. There's nothing like a smaller venue, and that's what I like about a lot of the people that I used to love years ago. Is now that they're coming back, even if they have new stuff, old stuff, whatever, you're seeing them at the smaller venues,
Yes.
like you used to see 30 years ago. Like you've skipped the whole like stadium tour with a lot of them, and some of them maybe didn't even have stadium tours. But it's like you're seeing them at the same level as you saw them 30 years ago. But they're also a lot of times so much better. So when you're seeing, you know what I mean? Like
No, I know exactly.
seeing a band 30 years later that's still tight, that's still all together, like, and then you see them at that small venue, you're like, man, this is what I've been waiting for. It was awesome 30 years ago, but this is like the pinnacle.
That's why
of
I'm
it.
a little like I love that Nine Inch Nails is coming back and they're playing LCA.
You're just nervous about it, aren't you?
Yeah, because
you had
the last
this
one was
so good.
So
And you
right
have
there,
this whole
small.
thing built up. 100%, I get it.
I'm a little like I'm super excited to see him again, but I'm just kind of like
I think it'll be a good show.
I think it will be too. But no, and well, I'm doing the whole Ben Harper mini tour.
I saw that.
And-
I saw that.
And one, he put on a great show in 24 in October, so I'm at Royal Oak. But I'll also say, I'm like, man, it wasn't quite like what I remember, like during the Live from Mars era. I saw him 2 times on that tour that they made the live album from.
Yeah.
And then I'm also like, well, did it have anything to do with it? I was front row center. Because the sound kind of sucks when you're closer. I mean, Perry Farrell, Porno for Pyros.
Yeah.
He sounds awful. Like low, but
Yeah.
but if you're farther back, a lot of times it actually, it all works out. But so I'm a little nervous because I don't know what to expect with it. And seeing 3 shows like back to back to back.
Yeah.
But I'm also super excited because he's like my fucking favorite.
Yeah.
But I've
I
never had.
got into him as big as.
No, and you know what? A lot of when I ask people, I'm like, "Have you ever heard of Ben Harper?" And a lot of people are like, "No, I've never heard of him." And it's I would say almost like an eclectic taste or whatever. But it's a lot of what I loved was when he first came out and he would just play that sit down guitar and just jam, And even like the slower songs, he would still be on the sit down guitar, but it would be totally different than like you would hear a slower song normally.
Right.
And then once he started growing and growing, and then it was like, wow, he can do that sit down shit where it's just like blows your mind, but then he comes back with like this total acoustic thing with no one else. And it's like, wow, he went from that to this. And I'll never forget Uncle Steve when we saw him in San Diego. And he's like, I don't like that shit. He goes, it's like Crosby, Stills, and Nash. They're like, they get you jamming, and then they slow that shit down. I'm like, yeah, but that's also a good thing, Uncle Steve.
Shit down.
So, yeah, it's one of those things, like, you don't know what to really expect. And then, like, Smashing Pumpkins, they play the same set every fucking show. It doesn't matter where they're at. And then you have someone like Pearl Jam who has 80 songs, and you might not hear the same song 4 shows in a row.
Right.
So I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited about it because he's like my fucking favorite.
Well, and it should be.
I'm going to spend a couple days in Toronto, check out the
Toronto's
area. I've never
wonderful.
actually spent any time just like doing nothing,
love
so just
Toronto.
tool around for a bit.
Toronto's fun.
But no.
Yeah, like Toronto's a good city.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've never really given it the time to enjoy it.
Right.
So I'm going to fucking do it this time.
I love
Going
it.
a day before, and
I love it.
my goal is after those 3 shows, at some point, I'm going to be interviewing Ben Harper to find out what his Forever 5 is.
Get on the PR guy.
That's right.
Start now.
Yep.
Start now.
Oh, believe me, I've been sending messages.
Good.
So speaking of Forever 5, I'm assuming we got Tragically Hip probably in your Forever 5. Who else we got in there?
9 Inch Nails for sure. Let's see. Gosh, I feel like I've seen sporadically.
You don't even have to see him.
No, I was earlier.
It could be a
so I
favorite
knew-
band.
I'm a huge fan of Rick Springfield too.
Really?
Yes, another one I've seen numerous times. At 76, he looks pretty darn good.
I couldn't believe he was that fucking old.
Yeah.
He looks amazing.
And still puts on a good show. I think as many times as I've seen him too,
But you know what? You know what I think about that? Because I've always been that. I'm like, I can't believe that guy's 70 years old and just killing it. But you know what? I work with 70-year-old guys that are fucking killing their job. Why can't that guy kill it on the fucking stage, you know?
Exactly.
Good point.
That's what he knows.
It puts me back to General Hospital and Dr. No.
See, we were more of a Days of Our Lives type of guys back in college.
I got into it in college, Days of Our Lives. But General...
We did too, because we had no cable.
No cable.
And like, so we had a bunch of soccer dudes that would show back up at a room at 1 o'clock on or whatever it was. And what's on TV? It's fucking Days of Our Lives. Everyone's talking about Deidre Hall and shit. Like,
oh my gosh.
what's going on?
Yeah,
oh my god.
Stefano.
Georgie was the fucking best for that shit.
That was fucking
One of I saw the Killers a couple years back.
So, Killers for me is
Yeah, they were amazing.
I know obviously a ton of their songs, and then I got a chance to see them at Lollapalooza last year, and they were fucking amazing live. So to me, it's like one of those ones, love, hate, or whatever. Just go experience it live.
I 100%
You know,
agree with
there's been bands I've like, I hate them, and then but you actually see them live, like, wow, that totally changed my perspective. And the Killers are one of them because people are either hate them because like, oh, they're kind of like churchy, or they're this, or they're that. But it's like,
Mormons.
yeah, but it's like, you know what? But is it horrible music?
No.
Right.
No, not
And
at all.
it was that was probably one.
That
of the top
was,
10.
and that was, it was the Saturday at Lollapalooza, and that was like the one day where I was like, all right, I want to see like these fucking 7 people, but Killers, I want to see the whole
Oh
set.
yeah.
And they did. They fucking, they
see
tore it up. It was awesome.
That
It
was
was
when
awesome.
I'd go back and pay the money to go back. Same with Kings of Leon. They
Yeah.
were another one that I was like,
Right.
Kings of Leon. Trying to think. I mean, gosh, I saw so many as a kid. Like my friend's dad worked for like I think it was BMG Records or something, one of the
Okay.
record companies. So he would always get us backstage.
That's
You know, so
awesome.
it was like George Michael, Janet Jackson.
Oh, George Michael.
Um,
George Michael was fucking great.
He was great. New
He
Kids on
really
the
was.
Block. When they came out, we were backstage meeting the New Kids. Like,
Really?
Like, oh yeah.
Like, so when they were first, like,
Yes.
so you were like the same age as them basically
Yes,
at that
I
time
know, and
too,
I
right?
saw there when they came back, when they first went on that like 90s block party tour with Tiffany and Debbie Gibson.
Right? Oh, I remember that
Salt and
shit. That's
Pepper.
hilarious.
Great show. They were great. And another one I did after that was New Edition.
Oh, wow.
That one was
So that would
Right.
have been after like New Edition was popular. Then you had Belle Biv DeVoe, and then they came back and,
And
they
then
did like
they-
a whole
and then-
New Edition tour.
and they did New Edition songs. They did
And
Belle
Belle
Biv
Biv
DeVoe
DeVoe.
songs, and I mean it was an entertaining.
Which is, I love hearing that because a lot of times you'll see like, oh, we're only doing this, you know, we're
They
only
did it.
doing that.
Oh,
And
it was that was one.
that
of-
is good.
It was a birthday present for
Which I
me.
loved about Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. You know, like they would
They-
play
Yeah.
their own songs, or then they would do this, and they'd play Neil Young songs, and it's just like,
Yeah.
just give the people what they want.
Yeah.
Right, and if the fact that you could go and see like, oh shit, new editions back together,
With Sam
Oh,
Cooke.
and then
Sam
they're gonna
Cooke.
play Belle Biv DeVoe songs on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like it
And
doesn't
they
get any
did.
better than this.
Yeah, that was like that was a birthday present. That was one that I was like, yeah, I'm glad I got to see them because Bobby Brown was back.
Right.
All of them. Like,
Absolutely.
Sam Cooke and Jodeci opened for him, so it was
Wow.
like, wow.
No, but that's the thing is like you can say I saw the legit New Edition
The
lineup.
original New Edition.
Before it was 2025 and Bobby Brown couldn't dance.
Right, right. And I
Because we've all seen those clips.
yes, and it was when they went on tour. They got, but he didn't have as much part as it is anymore. But,
Right.
They were still very good, very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what shows you got coming up? Any?
Let's see. I've got
Well, Nine Inch Nails. I
Nine
think I
Inch
heard you
Nails in
say,
August.
right?
Yep, super excited about that.
And that was LCA. Is that where?
LCA.
It's at LCA.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? I'll take LCA over Ford Field any day of the week. LCA is not a bad place to see a concert.
No, Lower Bowl though.
Yeah.
Again, the
Oh, you
Lower
got to be
Bowl.
Lower Bowl.
And because,
Absolutely.
again, New Edition is...
Unless you might be like in a suite, you
Yeah,
have all the
agreed.
perks of all that shit. But
Agreed.
yeah, lower bowl, you got to be lower bowl than LCA for sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
and because I was on the floor for New Edition. Beautiful seats, but again, I'm 5'1".
Right,
I
right. I might differ with you on the
Yes,
floor,
exactly.
but you know, to be honest, I don't mind being in seats and just even a few seats up, so you have a better view.
Right.
You know, you're not
Yeah.
fighting for that view all the time.
So if I do main floor, I like it if I'm on get two on the end,
Mm-hmm.
so I can
Right.
stand on the side.
Right. No, exactly. And actually, I did that before where I was actually on main floor and I ducked up right behind the wall.
Mhm.
You know, because I knew some people like, hey, I don't really want to be here. Like, oh, yeah, come up here,
Yeah.
you know. And
So yeah.
But no,
Nice.
I do like LCA because I know for a fact they did take into account concerts when they built that thing.
I don't know if they took that into account at the upper bowl when you feel like you're falling down.
Oh, well, that I feel like they made everyone feel like, hey, this is how it was
Everybody
like
has
Joe
vertigo.
Louis, so fuck you, we're doing it the same way. Grow up.
I'm like, I went up.
Joe Louis was crazy with
Oh
that.
gosh, yeah. I think I
It was like terrifying.
up in one time for a
But
game,
even,
and I'm like, I'm
but
never
you're right.
sitting up
Even,
here ever
even,
again.
even Little Caesars. I mean, did it have to be this insane?
No. I know.
Like-
Joe Louis was too, and then you were in that back row, and you're like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm like claustrophobic." I'm like,
Yeah.
right
Oh,
at
yeah.
the wall.
Yes.
Jack White.
Oh, you're.
Coming up.
What day are you going?
I'm going on Sunday, so
No, the 13th.
The 13th.
I'm
so,
going on the 12th.
Yes.
First time I've ever seen Jack
So
White. though.
how are you going in with that feeling?
The same way I go to any show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a great time. I'm very interested just to experience it, just because I've never seen him before with him or White Stripes.
This is
So
my
yeah, I'm
third
just super
time.
excited. And
Yeah.
it's at Masonic, which is a great venue.
Yep. And yeah, third
I would
time.
prefer even a smaller one, but yeah, I get it.
The Masonic's not bad though. So
No,
I saw
Masonic's
him-
great. The sound is amazing, and I believe the setup's amazing. Just that it's a circle. Because even if you're like way over here, you're still kind of like close, and you're about the same distance from these people that are right in the middle. You know.
100%. So, Neil, say the right name of the band when he was before with the White Stripes, the Raccoon.
Oh, Rack and Tours.
Raconteurs.
Yeah.
I can never say it right. Saw him when they rejoined
Mhm.
after they broke up and all that stuff.
Right.
At the Masonic. Great show.
Oh,
And then plus he
Damn,
also
Robin, that's
actually paid all the taxes, I believe, for the Masonic
Yes.
to actually keep it
Yes.
going anyway.
Yes.
Everyone's like, oh, he owns it. No, he doesn't own it. He just paid
paid it.
the back taxes to make sure they can keep it going.
Yeah, and then he did.
And then has shows there that helps them make a shit ton of money to help keep them going.
Yeah, so I was looking at the Saturday ones, and I remembered where I had sat for that one at the Masonic, and I was like, I was way far back. I want to get in the center.
Right.
Didn't like them for Saturday, so Sunday I was like, ooh, there's the balcony, like first row balcony. So
Right.
it's dead center. So I'm
Right.
excited about.
And, you know, I prefer a Sunday show over a Saturday show any day of the week.
Yes, some days.
Because, no,
gotta take- well,
100%.
I just gotta take Monday off.
Because Saturdays, like, that's where you want to get shit done. You
Yes,
want to do blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
Mhm.
And then, like, Sundays, you usually ain't got shit to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, okay, you have to leave at, like, 6, and you get home at, like, fucking 11:30. Grow the fuck up.
I know. So,
I love a
that
Sunday
alarm
show.
clock's-
Because of
alarm
that
clock's-
reason.
I think I might take that day off.
And, well, you just get to do shit on Friday and
Sit.
Saturday besides the show. You know what I mean?
So I'm
And, like,
excited to see him again. I saw him at LCA too. I think he puts on a great show.
Mhm.
Great show. Heard some stuff.
I
that
agree.
He's not the easiest to work with. Like I guess that he's not at all. But I'm like, I don't care.
no,
I know, it doesn't have anything to
you know
do
what?
with me.
It doesn't
Just come on
affect
the show.
you, and you know what? And I hate to say it, but it kind of comes with the territory.
Right.
Like this guy's a fucking artist, and he wants to make sure his shit's right. And it may seem like, you know, whatever, but all he wants to do is make sure that his craft is getting out there the way it should be.
Agreed.
And if people have a problem with that, then you don't understand what these people
Right.
are going through.
No, I 100% agree. So those are the two ones booked and planned for
Yeah.
the summer right now. Looking at Lord Huron, I would like to see them again. And
And I want to say, is Lord here on Meadowbrook?
It's at Meadowbrook.
It's at Meadowbrook.
Yeah.
I mean, that place is great.
yes.
That was one of those ones, yeah. They were, a lot of times I like to let other people buy the tickets. But I'm like, holy shit, I'm the buyer, and I got 4, so it's me and Emily and brother John and then buddy Jesse, which will be a lot of those are my concert buddies for most of them anyway. And I've never seen Lord Huron.
You'll enjoy it.
And like I said, Jason told us that like they're actually Michigan people that the reason it's Lord Huron was because of Lake Huron. And I'm like, oh no shit, really?
Yeah, you'll enjoy that one.
And it's like every time I mention them, people are like, oh my god, they're so fucking good. Whether they've seen them or they know someone that saw them, and I mean, I'm super excited.
Top 10 for that one too. That was a good one.
I almost equate like seeing them at like Meadowbrook is almost like seeing your favorite band at like a Red Rocks, because it's such a smaller, just intimate.
Yeah.
You love them, you know, and then like when you go see that favorite band ever at like Red Rocks, it's like it's huge and everything. You know what I mean? It gives that same kind of feel, you know.
I agree.
Which I've never been to Red Rocks yet. And then someone brought it up to me the other day, a place called the Caverns, which is just south of Nashville.
Oh.
You know, it's like a bunch of natural like caves and shit, and they have built a music venue there.
Down there. I did hear of that, and I can't remember who brought it up to me either.
I was at Houndmouth the other day, and I just randomly was talking to this guy, and he's like, yeah, I saw this band. I forget who he saw. He's at the Caverns. I'm like, I've never heard of that. He's like, oh, it's like a natural cave type place. They have concert, blah, 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 blah. Right? And, you know, he's telling me about it. He's like, yeah, I'm going. He's like, I saw so-and-so there, like, a month or two ago, and he's like, I'm going next week to see Big Head Todd and the Monsters. I'm like, no shit. I go, I just saw them in Grand Rapids. Like, yeah, they're going in there playing this fucking venue, which is like super iconic. I just never heard of it. But now I'm connecting with this guy because we're talking about Big Head Todd. And I'm like, nice. They've been around for 40 years, but if you have seen them live anytime in those 40 years, you would be like, it didn't matter if I saw them 40 years ago or 10 years ago or 1 year ago. They sound the fucking same.
Right.
You know, they're still pumping out new music. They're still doing everything. You know, 3 original members still going doing it 40 years later. It was fucking amazing. But again, it's like just randomly meeting this guy. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm going here. I already went here one time. He was like, I have an extra ticket. Do you want to go? I'm like, I want to go. Yeah. I probably can't go, but, you know, and he's like, all right, well, we'll catch up on social media. I'm like, holy shit, where's this world fucking, it's like so weird to me, you know?
I know, but I think that's what's great about concerts, isn't that you are with a bunch of other people who think the same way, enjoy the bands, they're there for some fun, and you can push all that other shit aside
for like 2-3 hours, just enjoy it.
Exactly. Like, and I mean, again, I'm bringing my Bret Michaels reference back up, but
his
Mardi Gras tour.
Yeah.
Like, so I did this past summer.
I was going to say it was about a year ago.
Yeah, I did 2 back-to-back summers. But again, he brought artists from like all over the map. Like Foreigner, the lead singer of Foreigner was there last year, but it felt like a backyard barbecue. Like you're just sitting there with a
That's funny you say that, because I picked my festival I'm going to this year, which is Bourbon and Beyond in Louisville, Kentucky, September 11th to the 14th. You know who's there? Foreigner.
See? He's like
the headliner, but the headliners are Fish, Noah Kahan, Sturgill Simpson, Lumineers, and Jack White.
Okay.
And then they have people like Foreigner. Like, well, how does this work out, you know?
He was 80-something years
Because it's, you know why? Because everyone understands music's just fucking awesome. Yes. And let's get all these different kinds of people together and see what happens.
No, I agree.
And that's what it should all be about, you know?
Yeah.
So we were talking Forever 5. I heard you say Tragically Hip. I heard you say 9 Inch Nails. Who else you got?
I'm going with Brat and Poison. Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
I have to go with my boy.
Nothing wrong with that.
And actually, you know what? I think one of them, I'm going to put Tina Turner.
Nice. I love it.
Got to see her at the Palace.
You actually saw her in concert. So that's another thing I always ask people, because they talk about the Forever 5, but how many did you actually see live?
Yeah.
And a lot of times that might determine whether they're in or out, right?
Yeah. No, I got to see
And I gotta
her.
imagine seeing her live
It
probably was like
it
an experience.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. I'm trying to think. I just one more, right? Like,
You're down to one more? You only got one more?
one more.
Did Ike Turner hit Tina Turner? Is that why you like her?
That's exactly it.
Her favorite thing about it was when Ike used to beat her.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't sing right.
I was waiting for her to come out on the stage.
Because she's a private dancer. I'm sorry. I love Tina Turner. I'm sorry. I love Tina Turner. I'm sorry.
Great. She was great.
Yes,
like,
but no, you're right. Her favorite part was the way that Ike used to just beat her just right.
yes.
Especially
Especially the way Angela Bassett portrayed her.
Beautiful voice. I'm not even knocking Tina Turner at all.
A little bit of Nutbush.
No, I will say my parents actually ran into Tina Turner like back in the 70s, like in a hotel.
Ran into Tina Turner.
Like they were going to their hotel room and like she was
Did I
passing
push?
them and like I forget the whole story, but I want to say my mom was like something to my dad was like, I believe that was Tina Turner or something. And as she was walking past, she just like kind of stopped and looked back and she said, yes, I am. And then it just kept
Kept on
going.
going.
Uh-huh.
Kept on going.
Yeah. Which is like one of those things like you always hear about, like back, oh my God, I ran into so and so. But yeah, that was their claim to fame. They ran into Tina Turner in a hotel room. Like,
That's crazy.
and it was
That
like
sounds
right.
like-
It was even before like she really blew up. You know, like when she was still with Ike
Yes.
and shit. That time.
That story is probably as good as when my mom ran into Rod Stewart in the elevator,
Oh, really?
like something for work. She's like, I was right there.
I was right
I was
there.
right by Rod Stewart. I'm like, I'm glad, Mom. Did you say hi? Did you? No, he was. So beautiful
I
girl.
couldn't. Of course, I couldn't do that.
Beautiful girl. But I would say that the last 5 that I didn't get a chance to see, and my parents did on the last the dance tour is Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, yeah.
I am a big fan of Fleetwood, big fan of Stevie.
So you going to the Stevie Nicks show
I am not.
with Billy Joel?
Billy Joel.
Like, I'm like, what a great show, but I don't know if I could bring myself to go there to do it.
I've seen Billy
Oh, yeah.
with Billy. I've seen Billy with Elton John.
Mhm.
Awesome. You know, Billy, they're awesome. I think I want Stevie on her own.
Yeah.
You know, like without Billy Joel.
Right.
I did look at him.
I could hear that.
I did look at him.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Kennedy's going. Her and her girlfriend are
Yeah.
going to it. And
I looked at him, but
it was one of those
Fleetwood
things
was
like, it was, even if it was perfect, I was never a huge enough fan of either one of them to like justify going to it.
and
But I'm also like, man, it would be cool to go to it.
when I felt like
I just
because
don't know
I've
if I
seen
want to
Billy
spend
Joel.
it,
Like
right?
I've seen him. Like
Right.
I've seen him.
Yeah,
so,
you've already
like,
seen
I've
him.
He's
I've never
awesome.
seen him. That's
He
the
was
other
great
thing.
with
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I would maybe think Stevie. I would have, just, and I missed it when she was here last
Yeah,
time
she was just
with
here.
It. Yeah, I would have thoroughly enjoyed Fleetwood Mac, and I
Yeah.
remember my parents coming home from that last one. It was the dance album, and they were like, "Wait," like they're singing the songs as they're coming down.
But they saw
grew
him
up on.
in support of that album live,
Yeah.
and then you kind of have that in your
Yeah.
memory that.
So I mean, I like with me and my music, I feel like a very eclectic, all over.
It's just tough to see everything you want to fucking see too.
it's
I mean, like
expensive.
exactly. I would love to go to shows every goddamn night of the week, but it's like I'm looking if I can hit one.
Right.
Between you want to see it and then you're like, oh shit, I really need to see it, and then, but I don't know if I need to see it for that price. It's like
No.
it's a whole different ball game nowadays.
100%. I just don't remember when it.
It's like
so
before you're like,
expensive.
okay, I can spend $10 for a concert. Now it's like, can I spend $100 for a concert?
Yeah, I'm like, I'll go to the.
And that could be in
Royal
like the
Oak
worst seat ever.
I'll pay the $20 cover to go see the Go-Go's at the Royal Oak Music Theater.
Right,
'cause
right.
That's what we did.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
oh, the Go-Go's, yes.
Right, exactly.
It's expensive, but it's some of them you have to.
Some you just have to
do.
look at the other way and
Mhm.
say, you know what, I understand the expense and I just want to do it. And that's why I've kind of taken the approach with Ben Harper. Would I have done it if it wasn't Innocent Criminals
How you
with
doing
them?
down there, Neil?
I'm good.
I would say I don't know. You know, like with Innocent Criminals, it's a whole different ball game
Right.
when you see them live. You know, so yeah, it's you know,
and I feel
and
like-
it's those things you just gotta like. There's so many you can't go to all of them, so you just have to weigh it.
No,
and be
and
like,
I feel like I've been very.
have I seen this person? Have I not seen them? Okay, I've seen them, but you know, were they an opener or you know what I mean? Like that's where my mind starts going is like. This will be the first time I see him like totally like live, their shit, like first tour. Okay, I gotta go.
And I feel
All right,
like
if it's like the
unfortunate,
third or fourth tour, we're supporting like the same album from 2-3 years ago. Not sure I need to go. You know what I mean? Like
I mean,
you got to start making.
not everybody has.
You got to
like
start.
Bret Michaels says
Right, you got to
that
pick and
sees the same
choose the
set every
times,
time,
right?
But, no, but I feel fortunate, like, because I feel like I've been to a ton of concerts. Like, I felt like, I mean, I was 13 years old, and my uncle took me to go see Madonna, the True Blue
That's
concert.
awesome.
Like, I have these memories. I remember my dad. I was in Poland for the summer to go dance, and my dad waited in line at Ticketmaster because that's how you had to do it to
Right.
get Ricky Martin tickets.
No shit.
So-
In Poland though.
I know not in Poland.
Oh, no, okay.
That
But
got
you
my-
were in Poland, but he
on
was
my way
waiting
to
in
Poland.
line to
I was
get
on my way
them.
to Poland to go dance,
And that's awesome.
so he waited for us. But you know,
Right.
like Ricky, who would have been like, yeah, I got to see Ricky Martin. I got to see Shania Twain. Like
Right.
I just, you know, like
No, and that's
random
where
people
I look
that is
back.
all over.
I agree with you. I look back and I'm like, holy shit, I saw some of the most amazing shows ever. And it's like doing this, it's like, that's what I want to do. I'm going
Yeah.
to expose people to that. Like, I've seen them, but you know what? It may not be them. It may be someone else that you love, but go see them. Like, experience
So
it. And then,
experience it, yeah.
you know,
The
go
whole
see them in a
experience.
different fucking city. Go do anything. And you might be surprised, like, how much of a connection and bond you end up with this band.
Yeah.
And they carry you through like the next fucking decades.
No,
You know, like,
yeah,
I'm not like a huge like lyrics guy in that, but some people like will hang on to that shit.
some of them.
You're like, oh my god, this band, this song, these lyrics carried me through this time in my life, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I mean, and to me, that's the hip for me.
right?
You know, that's the hip.
Yeah.
Like, there's songs
Yeah,
that
no, the hip is,
say-
you know what, I will always say I'm super happy I was able to see them. And not only that, but to see them close to Canada, like in Michigan.
Yep.
Because I think that's a whole different experience than if you saw them somewhere like in, Southwest or something
No,
of the
I
United
agree.
States.
And I feel fortunate I was able to do those last two, and yeah.
Wait, who's this right now?
Oh, hey.
So I just wanted to thank you, Jen,
No,
for
thank you
being
guys.
with us today, but two, also flexing and being agile with our schedule. I know we got in touch with you late in the day today, but I do appreciate you being here. It's been awesome getting to know you, whether through the 3 other times you've been on the peripheral while we did this episode, but I always told you you're gonna get your own, so here we are today.
I
I'm
love
super
it.
glad you were here,
I'm hoping it's exciting.
and I can't wait to like go to shows in the future with you.
Yeah.
You know, just like we have in the past. And I will say, everyone else, thank you for listening. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you find your podcasts. But 2 Dudes Go Tunes, peace.